All right, so now we are going to talk about Claude API. Those who do not work on a development side of the house, you may skip this section because this is primarily required for those who wants to develop applications with Claude API. So it may not be applicable to somebody who just want to do a prompt engineering on a Claude console or interact with a Claude chatbot. All right, so first thing first, what do we mean when we say API and what are some of the benefits or the key features of the Claude API? The first thing is it allows seamless integration. So that means if you have any existing applications and if you want to integrate Claude APIs, you can straight away go ahead and do it. It does allow you to do some form of an advanced data manipulation. So let's say you want to convert from XML to CSV to JSON to whatnot. You can straight away apply the API calls, and within your code structure, you can take an output of one function, put it as an input of the second function, and you do a data manipulation. Quite often also it allows you to do some sort of a machine learning capabilities. When I say machine learning capabilities, it's more around using predictive function or using some of the other classification tasks you may want to do. You certainly can do that, like sentiment analysis, for example, with your data set. It allows you to do that programmatically. And at the same time, if you have a data flow happening in real time, and if you want to use Claude, you can do that real-time analytics, but be wary that any API call you make, it will take its own few milliseconds to seconds, depends on how large your data is. So if it is a real near time, it may not be 100% applicable, but if you are okay with few second or few millisecond to a second delay, that is really helpful in terms of doing that real-time data analytics. All right, so these are some of the key features what we just looked at from an API point of view. And the next one is, what are those benefits? Why you want to do this? So by doing API integration, you would increase your productivity or your users' productivity because they would have a lot more functionality available as a part of your applications which you are developing. You can scale this, right? So technically, if you are looking to apply 1,000 requests per second versus 10,000 requests per second versus 1,000,000 requests per second, you do not need to worry about that. Yes, you need to increase your throughput limits and then some of the other restriction what Claude has. But at least you as an individual developer, you don't need to worry about provisioning the entire compute and running those models at scale. And if you want to scale it down to zero, literally, you don't pay anything, right? So it's all about scalability. You pay for what you use. Simplified workflow. So once you define the workflow, you can simply connect things together, assuming you are a savvy developer who is able to bring things together and integrate all together. And finally, as I said, it's cost effective, similar to the scalability, where you don't need to worry about the cost or running the hardware, running the GPUs and all those good things. That goes down at the end of the day because you are using Claude as an API service. So you may have a question that, Ritesh, how can we use this? So let's walk through straight away on how would you start building this from the very first point. So to do this, you need to have a Claude, what we call Claude API access. And to get to that, I'm hoping you are able to see my screen where it talks about anthropic.com. And I'm at the page where it says API, or you can go to the home page and you can get to the API by clicking API. And you can say get started now. Now, the moment you get started, assuming you have an access or you have created a login access, you will get to something like this. I already have created login and I'm already in my account. So that's where I see this screen. If not, you will have a sign up page, and once you sign up, you will have this page. There is nothing, no fee required to sign up. It's free. And as a part of your initial account, they also offer you some free credits, depends on country, depends on region, but at least you will get some free credit which you can play with. And the next one you would need to do is, first of all, you need to generate an APIs or API keys. So here is the get API keys. You get here, I already have one demo one created a couple of days ago, but I'm going to create one just for an example. So I'll say create key and I'll say, okay, this would be a demo 2, and I create a key and I get this key, and this is only one time it's accessible, then they will not let you show the key. So either you can copy that key and save it somewhere. I'm gonna close and forget about it because I'm not gonna use this key. And as a matter of fact, in front of you, I'm gonna disable this API key. That means even if somebody is trying to connect, nobody will be able to use this API key, which was accessible or at least visual to those who are watching this video. But I have the second API key, which I'm going to use it as my workflow. So now you have the API key. You may wonder, how should we use it from a coding point of view? I'm a developer. So if you are a developer, I'm hoping you are using a tool something like this. This is a Visual Studio Code. And I'm hoping you all are familiar with how Visual Studio Code operates. So I'm not going to walk you through into the details of what it is. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you one. There are a few examples I've created for you. The one is the very basic functionality, and I'm going to get this guy out of the way so you can see. And hopefully the text is big enough. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit, view my appearance and zoom in one more. All right, so what I have is a simple basic Python code where I'm importing the request because I'm going to make few requests, HTTP request. So that's a request HTTP library. As you can see, Visual Studio Code is very intuitive. I key in my API key, the API URL. This is the URL we are using for now. It could change, and Anthropic will advise you if this need to be changed. And there are a few headers I'm adding, like the content type as an application JSON, the XAPI key is API key, and Anthropic version is the 1st June version of 2023. Now, this could change as well. Initially, I was using the March version, and that has changed. Now it's a June version. And walking through further, the next iteration I have is, or the variable I have is called data. It's a dictionary where I'm adding some prompt structure that Anthropic accept this as a human and assistant format in the prompt. So we are providing that as a prompt. What I'm using here is V1 model, Claude V1. You can use other models as well, but for now, as a simplicity example, I'm using V1. And the max token to the sample, I'm restricting myself to 100 token, but you can obviously increase to 1000, 10,000 if you prefer. But since I want to restrict my output and also I'm limited by cost or the credit amount what I have, so I'm restricting myself to 100 token. And as a response, I would get the output, and I'm going to print that output. And all we are doing here is taking an input from the user, whoever is using this code, and the output we will get whatever the output based on the prompt that user is giving. So maybe what we want to do is maybe you want to run this code, right? So now in the Visual Studio Code, you can run inline, right? So I'm going to open up a new terminal. And what I'm going to do is I'm hoping that I'm in my environment. I'm going to get onto my environment here. I think I'm already. Yep, I'm out of my environment. So I'm going to source my. All right, I'm going to type in the command so that it's easy for all of us to understand what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my virtual environment. I'm hoping you all are familiar with virtual environment. If not, Google it up and it's very easy to set it up. So what I'm doing is creating my virtual environment called my env. And then I'm going to source that virtual environment. Hopefully it's done. Okay. Source my env bin, and I'm activating my virtual environment. So it is active now. What I want to do, I have 3 files, right? So I have these 3 things: basic, to do, and web scrape. Let's start with the basic first, because that's what we were looking at. Python 3 basic.py. When I execute this, okay, super. What is the error? Okay, I'm typing. Okay, so the first thing what you see on the screen, it says user, right? So that means it's expecting an input, user input. So I'm saying, how are you, Claude? And assistant is saying, I am doing well, thanks for asking, my name is Claude. And boom, it's done, right? So this is how typically, if you are interacting with Claude in other interface, like we are talking about this kind of an interface, right? Let's say I'm creating a new chat and I'm asking the same question, how are you, Claude? And hopefully we will get the same answer, I'm doing well, thanks for asking. But we got something more, because in the chat window it's doing something differently. But this is how we are interacting with Claude via API. This is a very basic functionality what we saw. I'm gonna share this code as well on the GitHub, so you will have the link and you will have all the details. But that's on the very first basic. Let's do a little bit complex, and when I say complex, it's not difficult one, but what I want to do is I want to create a to-do list. And as a part of to-do list, we need to store that to-do list somewhere, right? I mean, I'm not doing it in memory. So what I'm simply doing here is storing the to-do list in a file. Now you can store this anywhere in the database or in any other places, but for simplicity, I'm storing in a local file in called to-do.txt. And similar functionality what we see here as a chat with Claude, get a response. But as a part of this functions, I've created few other functions called add task, view task, and also I'm doing a complete task, because this is a to-do list, right? So you would be completing task, and as a part of that, there is a workflow, right? So this is the code. Again, I will get you the code, so you don't need to scramble around reading what that code is. Let me go a little bit up so that you get a better view of what this terminal looks like. And let me make sure I'm typing the right way. Python 3 to-do.py. Okay, it's working. So it's saying to do app view task. Let's see if there is any. I don't know whether any task exists, so I'm gonna do a view task. It says no task found. So okay, we will add a task. New task would be, let's say, do laundry. Now so it says task added successfully. Now if we see the task, current task is 1, do laundry. Let's add one more task in terms of do vacuum cleaning. Now if we see the task, number 1 is do laundry, number 2 is do vacuum cleaning. Now I want to complete one task. Let's say I'm done with my laundry, and that means task do laundry mark as complete. And if I view the task list, I have only one left, do vacuum cleaning. I'm gonna exit for now, and I'm gonna show you something. So it's done, code is done. What I want to show you is this todo.txt file, right? So this is the local file got created, and it has one entry left called do vacuum cleaning. So as the moment we removed that the laundry task, this was cleaned out from the file. So this is how easy it is to use Claude to initiate do functions and apply certain tasks. The last thing what I want to show you is web scraping. Now, many times you need to do this. When I say we need to do this, is you need to request data input for your pre-processing task, or many places you would need to scrape the web, so that you can use that web scraped data to apply into as your precursor to your data, or maybe as an augment into your web data for doing something else. But there are many ways you can apply that data. And this is the code kind of allowing you to scrape that internet. Now, this is not going to scroll an entire internet. This is going to ask us which website you want Claude, or in this case, this bot, to scrape, and then what Claude will do is Claude will take that input. It will eventually summarize it for us. So as a part of that, we are using prompt, and as a part of prompt, we are asking Claude to do something, and that something is scraping the website and then finally getting us this website information. And once you analyze that information, arrange it like title, heading, any paragraph it has from the website point of view, and also provide a summary and key insight from the website, right? So kind of most of the work what we are doing here as a scraping of the website is being done by Python, and then there is a library called Beautiful Soup, right? That is what it's going to do to parse your HTML or XML document, and it's going to give that raw input to Claude, and Claude will take that input and it will make it better. That whatever output we receive, the Claude is going to take that HTML, XML output, and then it will analyze that and it will give us some better output as an output.txt file, right? So maybe let's do that again. I'm gonna go back to the terminal and hopefully let me jump in a bit. Python 3 web-scrape.py. Enter the URL of the website to scrape. I have a website of my own called riteshai.com. Let's see if it is able to scrape this. Okay, all right, it's looking for a special format. So I'll say okay, https://www.riteshai.com. Let me be a smaller case all the way, that way it may not complain. All right, so it figured it out. Okay, this is a website, it's the right website, and it scraped out an analysis written into output.txt. Now it doesn't show you here the output.txt. We can do a cat output.txt and we can see it, but what we want to do is we would rather go here, right? This is created locally. So output.txt, this is the file. Let me bring this down. Let me bring this guy back. So the title, whatever the title of that website, it's AI with Ritesh is the title. There are certain headings in that website. Collaborative approach for lasting result, your AI success partner, author, speaker, whatever I have in the website, right? It's not nothing. Yeah, it talks about my book. It talks about the contacts, how you get in touch with me, and also some of the details on what I provide as a services, like coaching or training or many more things. Yeah, but what I'm looking for is this guy, row 91 onwards. So analysis from Claude. Here is the summary and key insight from that analyzed website. Summary: the website belongs to Ritesh Vajariya, who is an AI AI leader, advisor, investor, partner. He offers AI coaching, training, consulting services for individual and companies. He has experience working with tech companies, global banks, key insight, variety of AI learning, and the whole gamut of whatever. And I think here it stopped here. It's not going beyond that because this is the 100 token what I had asked. Because remember, in that code we had our length of output here. Maximum token to sample is 100. If we would have changed it to 200, there is a possibility that we may get a better output here from this website. But so far, because of that length of token, we got up to 100. So this is how you would work with Claude API. There are many hundreds and thousands of different use cases you can come up with. But hopefully this will give you a good background of how you can use Claude and their API for doing your actual coding work. Thank you.